chosen one. Somewhere right now, there is a number with your name already written beside it, and you have been taught to call the "wait for it" worry, when that is not what it actually is. It is a signal getting jammed on your end, not on the end of heaven. Yours. You have prayed for it. You have worked for it. You have laid awake doing the same math at 2 in the morning, moving the numbers around as if moving them will make new ones appear. And still, most of it does not land the way you were told it would. Here is the part almost nobody tells you. It was never about how hard you were asking. 2 things inside you went quiet, in a very specific order, long before money ever became the problem you think it is. One of them dimmed how you receive anything at all. The other one, closing right after it, is the reason even the good things that do arrive get quietly refused, deflected, explained away before you even notice you did it. 2 frequencies, 1 order. And almost nobody in this space has ever told you the order matters more than the effort. By the time this message is finished, you are going to understand something about your own mind that you have never heard named this plainly before. You are also going to feel it somewhere in your own chest, the moment one of those 2 frequencies starts to move again. And you are going to leave with one plain, free action, something you can do today, no purchase required, that begins turning the second frequency back toward open. Understanding, feeling, doing, all 3, before this is over. Stay with me for the next few minutes. What I am about to show you does not ask you to believe anything yet. It only asks you to notice what your body does while I describe it. If you feel even a flicker of recognition anywhere in what I just said, drop the word "received" below where you are listening, so I know you are still here when the rest of this opens up. There are signs that a person is standing closer to this than they realize, and most of those signs have nothing to do with money at all. You check your account less than you used to, not because you stopped caring, but because looking at it has started to feel like reopening a wound. You have gotten strangely good at explaining away the good things that do happen to you. A compliment, an unexpected offer, a door that opens on its own, as if accepting them plainly would be careless. You find yourself suddenly busy with tasks that do not matter on the exact day. Something that does matter is sitting there waiting for your attention. You call it a coincidence. It has happened too many times to actually be one. None of that is weakness. None of that is a character flaw you need to confess and repair. It is a pattern, and patterns can be named, and named things can be changed. If any of what I just described landed somewhere true in you, you already know this message did not reach you by accident. There is one more sign, quieter than the rest. You can picture, in surprising detail, how life would feel if the pressure finally let go. Not the amount in the account, the feeling underneath it. A held breath, finally released. That is where we are headed. Not a promise about a date, because anyone who hands you a date is telling you what they want to be true, not what they know. What I can hand you is a pattern I have watched hold again and again in people who felt exactly like you feel right now. If you are still here, something in you has already recognized itself. Most people scroll past a message like this one within the first few seconds because nothing in it touched anything real. You did not. That tells me something about you that no amount of explaining could. So, let me be honest with you about what you are actually dealing with, because the honesty matters more than the comfort right now. You are not dealing with one closed door. You are dealing with 2. The first one is quieter, and it started earlier than you think. Somewhere back before the world got its hands on you, you had a mind that could receive without suspicion. A child does not interrogate a gift. A child does not run 3 scenarios about what a compliment might cost them later. A child simply takes what is offered, feels it fully, and moves on to the next wonder. That capacity did not vanish. It got dimmed, gradually, the way a room gets darker as the sun moves. so slowly that you never noticed the exact moment the light changed. The second door is the one you actually feel every day because it lives closer to the surface. It is the reflex that meets a good thing arriving and quietly pushes back against it before you can stop yourself. The seat someone offers you on a crowded train that you refuse out of habit. The referral a friend wants to send your way that you talk yourself out of accepting. The opportunity that lands in your inbox that you let sit for 3 days because some part of you does not trust that it is real. Here is what almost nobody tells people who are exactly where you are standing right now. Working harder does not open either of those doors because effort was never the lock, and trying to force the second door open while the first one is still dim does not work either, because a mind that cannot fully receive anything yet is not ready to receive money specifically. That is the piece that has been missing from every plan you have tried. Not more discipline, not a bigger prayer. An order. I am not asking you to take my word for any of this. I am asking you to notice honestly whether either of those two doors sounds like a door you already know from the inside. That single moment of honest recognition is worth more than everything that follows it, because it is the moment you stop calling this bad luck and start calling it what it is, a pattern with a beginning and a way back. Here is what we are going to walk through together, in order, because order is the entire point of what I am teaching you today. First, the exact mechanism behind that first dimmed door, the one that quietly turns down your capacity to receive anything at all, including things that have nothing to do with money. I will show you where researchers have observed this pattern, and I will give you a way to test, right now, whether it is true for you. After that, we will walk into the second door, the one that keeps good things arriving and getting waved away, and you will hear the honest reason it exists. Somewhere between those two, you will be handed a free way to begin loosening both of them today, with nothing to purchase and nothing to prove. What happens after that is entirely between you and what feels true in your own chest. Nobody who has actually walked this path did it by trying harder than everyone else around them. They did it by finally understanding what they were up against, in the right order, for the first time in their life. Let me start with the first door, because it is older, and it is the one everything else stands on. I want you to picture something very specific, not a feeling, an actual moment. You sit down to read something that matters, and 3 paragraphs later, you realize you have no idea what you just read, so you go back and read it again, and maybe a third time, and it still will not stay. And yet, a song you loved when you were 9 years old is still sitting in you, word for word, note for note, 3 decades later, without you ever once trying to memorize it. That gap is strange if you stop and actually look at it. Why would a mind that cannot hold a paragraph for 30 seconds hold an entire song, unrehearsed, for 30 years? You have probably called that gap age or stress, or too many hours staring at a screen. None of those explanations are what actually happened to you. Here is the mechanism, and I want you to hear this slowly. There is a brainwave state called gamma, the frequency most active in early childhood, associated with wide-open curiosity, with learning that does not exhaust you, with taking in a new piece of the world without first deciding whether it is safe. A child in that state does not defend against information, they absorb it. Somewhere around the age of 7, for almost everyone, that frequency begins to quiet down. Not because you got older in some inevitable, nothing to be done about it way. It quiets because of conditioning. School teaches you to sit still and doubt yourself. The people around you teach you, without ever meaning to, that curiosity has a cost, that wonder is for children, that being impressed by something makes you look foolish. Bit by bit, the frequency that lets you take things in freely gets dimmed down into something narrower, more guarded, more tired. And a mind that has learned to be guarded with information learns, eventually, to be guarded with everything else that arrives from outside itself, including money, including help, including anything good that shows up without you having fought for it first. I have watched this exact shape repeat, in person after person, closely enough that I finally gave it a name of my own. I call it the decline effect. Not because science handed me that exact phrase for this exact thing. I call it that because it is precisely what it looks like from the inside, a bright, absorbing mind quietly dimming, while everyone around you calls the dimming growing up. This is not a guess dressed up to sound official. Neuroscientist Dr. Robert Lake spent 34 years studying brainwave activity and how outside sound can shift it. And his work, along with research coming out of institutions including MIT, Princeton, and Harvard, and several other leading research universities, has looked closely at how a technique called brain entrainment can gently move the brain back toward a target frequency simply through calibrated sound. I am not telling you this to impress you with names. I am telling you because what you are dealing with has a real, physical shape to it, not a character flaw. And understanding the shape of a thing is the first step toward changing it. So, those years you have spent feeling less sharp, less curious, less able to simply receive a good thing without picking it apart first, were never you failing at something. You were carrying a dimmed frequency and calling the dimming your own fault. There is a school teacher I think about often, a woman who spent 19 years telling other people her mind was not built for anything beyond the classroom, that whatever spark she had as a child had simply been used up by grading papers and stretching a small salary across a family that needed more than it had. She was not lazy. She was not lacking faith. She was running on a dimmed frequency and calling it her personality. You were never the problem. The dimmer was. Here is something you can do with that, right now, for free, before anyone asks you for anything. Bring back one small, ordinary memory from before you turned 8. Not a big one, a doorway, the smell of a particular morning, the weight of light coming through a window in a room that no longer exists. Hold it for the length of one slow breath, and notice, honestly, what happens in your chest. That flicker is not nostalgia, that is the frequency, still there waiting underneath everything you built on top of it since. Some of you already felt that flicker while you were listening. If you did not feel anything yet, this next part may not be for you today, and that is genuinely fine. Before I go further, if that flicker was real for you, type, "I receive this," below where you are listening. It costs nothing, and it marks the moment for you to come back to. For those of you who did, I want to be straightforward with you. There are 2 audios that exist because 2 different researchers working independently spent years studying exactly what I have described to you, and the frequency I have not described yet, the one that closes right behind it. One restores the first frequency, the other opens what comes after it, and they only work in the order I am about to walk you through, for a reason you will fully understand before this message ends. The first is called the Genius Song, a 7-minute audio built by Dr. Robert Lake around the exact brain entrainment research I just mentioned, designed to gently invite that childhood frequency back toward active. The second is called the Wealth Signal, and it addresses the frequency that closes after the first one, the one that keeps good things arriving and getting quietly refused. I will explain that fully in a moment, because you have not felt its full weight yet. Restoration first, reception second. Neither one replaces the other, and reversing the order is exactly why so many things you have already tried never fully worked. I want to say clearly that neither of those 2 audios is required for you to receive everything else in this message. What I am handing you today, the pattern, the mechanism, the free action, is yours, whether you ever look at either one or not. Both are simply sitting in the description and in the pinned comment beneath this message. If your spirit confirms, it is time for you to go further than the free steps I am giving you. For now, keep listening, because the second frequency, the one still waiting for its full explanation, is where this actually gets uncomfortable in the useful way. The second door tends to surprise people more because it hides better. It disguises itself as independence, as humility, as simply being careful with money. You are about to see exactly why. Before we go there, I want to give you something to hold on to, because everything I have described so far has been about what is broken. You deserve to see what is on the other side of it too. Picture a morning some months from now. You open your eyes before the alarm sounds. Before a single worried thought has time to arrive, something in your chest is already different, lighter. The way a room feels different. The second, after someone opens a window you did not know was painted shut. You lie there a moment longer than usual. The familiar knot under your ribs, the one that has been there so long you stopped noticing it was there at all, simply as not. The first thing that moves through you is not worry about the day ahead. It is something closer to a question, the kind you stopped asking sometime around the age of 8. What is possible today? You get up, you make coffee, nothing dramatic has happened, and yet you notice, almost as an afterthought, that the numbers have stopped being the first voice you hear every single morning. That version of you already exists, not in some far-off future you have to earn your way toward through years of struggle. It is one frequency shift away from the version of you reading or listening to these words right now. What separates the two of you is not time. It is not how hard either version of you tried. It is a frequency that was turned down a long time ago and has never once been turned back up because nobody ever told you it could be. Hold on to that morning for a moment, because we are going to come back to it later, closer to the end of this message, from a different angle entirely. Now, I want to talk honestly about something most teaching like this skips past, because it is more comfortable to talk about the mind that receives too little than the mind that has quietly trained itself to receive too little on purpose. There are, broadly, two ways a mind can relate to anything good that shows up in life. One is the striving mind, the mind most adults live in without ever choosing it. It believes, underneath everything, that good things must be earned first, defended once they arrive, and are always one mistake away from being taken back. It cannot simply enjoy a gift without first calculating what it might cost later. The other is the receiving mind, the one you were born with. It takes a compliment without immediately deflecting it. It says yes to help without first proving it deserves the help. It trusts, not naively, but structurally, that good things arriving is not a trick. It is simply how things are supposed to work. You already know which one has been running your life lately. Most people do, the moment they hear both described side by side. And here is the honest, slightly uncomfortable truth about it. You cannot think your way from the striving mind into the receiving mind. Thinking harder about receiving is still striving. It is still the same exhausted mind, working overtime, just aimed at a different target. What actually shifts it is underneath thought entirely, and that is exactly where we are headed next. Neither mind is a character judgment. Nobody chooses the striving mind on purpose. It gets installed early, usually by people who loved you and were running the exact same program. You did not fail to learn how to receive. You were simply never shown that receiving could be learned or relearned at all. That is the part I want you sitting with as we go further. Not shame about which mind you have been living in. Recognition. Recognition is the only doorway that has ever led anywhere useful, and you are standing in it right now. I know how some of what I have said so far might be landing. Maybe a part of you is thinking that this sounds a little too clean, a little too convenient, 2 frequencies, 1 order, everything explained. That reaction is not a problem. It is actually a sign of a healthy mind. A mind that questions what it hears is a mind that has not been fooled easily before, and I would rather you question this than swallow it whole. So question it. Here is what I am not asking you to believe. I am not asking you to believe that a sound alone rearranges your bank account. I am asking you to notice a pattern, the same way you would notice that a plant leans toward a window without needing a degree in botany to trust what you are looking at. Two separate lines of research, run by different people in different decades, arrived at the same underlying shape from two different directions, one studying how sound shifts brainwave activity, the other studying how chronic stress blocks the body from taking in anything new. Neither one set out to prove the other correct. They simply kept landing in the same place. I cannot promise you a date when something shifts for you specifically. Anyone standing here promising you an exact date is telling you what they want you to believe, not what they actually know. What I can offer you is the pattern itself and the freedom to test a piece of it yourself, for nothing, before you decide anything at all about the rest. If your honest answer is still doubt, keep the doubt. Just keep listening alongside it. Some of the most useful shifts I have watched happen in people who stayed skeptical the entire way through, right up until their own body told them otherwise. Now, back to that second door, the one hiding behind independence and carefulness. I want you to notice something about your own reactions this week, honestly, without judging what you find. Has someone offered you help recently that you turned down before you had even finished hearing the offer? Has a compliment landed on you and you handed it straight back, deflected it, minimized it, before it had a chance to actually land in your body? You have probably called that independence. Some of you have called it humility, or being low maintenance, or simply not wanting to be a burden to anyone. It is none of those things, and I say that with real gentleness, because you did not choose it on purpose. It is a reflex, and reflexes get installed, not chosen. Somewhere in your history, receiving something good got quietly linked in your nervous system to danger. A gift once came with strings attached. Needing help once got you criticized. Your body took careful notes and built a fast, automatic alarm that now fires the instant something good arrives uninvited. I call it the alarm reflex. It is not weakness. It is a threat detector that used to protect you from something real and now fires on things that were never actually threats at all. A compliment, an opportunity, an unexpected kindness, all of them treated by your own nervous system the same way it would treat an actual danger. This is not a spiritual metaphor. It is a documented pattern in how a nervous system that has lived through real scarcity keeps scanning for loss even after the danger has passed. The same way a smoke detector kept too close to the stove starts going off at steam. The alarm is not broken. It is simply calibrated for a kitchen fire that already burned itself out years ago, and nobody ever came back to reset it. So every time you turned down help you needed, every time you handed a compliment back before it landed, every time an opportunity sat in your inbox for 3 days while some part of you looked for the catch, none of that was you sabotaging yourself. That was an old alarm doing exactly what it was trained to do, protecting you from a danger that is not the danger you are living in anymore. You were never careless with good fortune. You were guarding a door that once needed guarding and forgot to check whether it still did. Here is what you can do with that today, without buying anything, without changing anything about your circumstances. The next time something good is offered to you, help, a compliment, a seat, a kindness, do not improve it and do not deflect it. Just say one word, yes. Then notice, honestly, where your body tries to undo it, tries to explain it away, tries to hand it back. That resistance you just located right there in your own chest is the exact thing we have been talking about this entire time. Naming it is the first step toward it losing its grip. We are a little past the midpoint of what I have to walk you through today, and I want to pause here for one honest moment, because something interesting tends to happen right about now. The two names I mentioned earlier, the ones sitting quietly in the description and in the pinned comment, are still there, unchanged, waiting for whoever they end up belonging to. I am not going to keep circling back to them. I simply wanted you to know they have not moved. Now, I want to speak directly to something a lot of you are thinking, maybe without saying it out loud even to yourselves. You have tried things before, prayer that felt like it went nowhere, affirmations you said into a mirror that started to feel silly after the third week, a vision board you built with real hope that is now gathering dust somewhere in your house, maybe even a class, or a coach, or a book that promised a total transformation and delivered a slightly lighter wallet instead. I am not here to tell you any of that was wrong. Every single one of those things you tried aimed at changing your beliefs and your discipline from the inside, slowly, often against real resistance. That approach asks your mind to change itself, while the exact frequency that makes real change possible is still sitting dimmed. You did not fail at any of that. You aimed a real tool at half of a two-part problem, and the half you never aimed at was quietly holding the other half shut the entire time. That is not a small distinction. It is the difference between spending years pushing against a locked door and finally being handed the actual order the lock opens in. Dr. Robert Lake has watched this exact pattern repeat, according to what he has reported from his research, in person after person who tried effort-based approaches alone and hit the same quiet ceiling. Not because they lacked willpower, because willpower was never the missing piece. I know some of you are carrying real weariness, the kind that comes from trying honestly for years and still feeling like you are standing exactly where you started. This is not another program asking you to try harder in the same direction that already wore you down. It is asking you to look somewhere you were never shown to look before. I want to give you one more piece of real, usable information before we go further, because a message like this should leave you smarter about your own mind, whether or not you ever look at anything mentioned in it. The frequency I named earlier, the decline effect, does not just affect memory and curiosity, it affects timing too, and this is the part almost nobody connects. A mind, still running dimmed, does not just receive less, it also notices less. Opportunities that were sitting in plain sight for weeks get missed entirely, not because they were hidden, but because a dimmed mind filters most incoming information as background noise, keeping only what feels urgent or threatening. That is why so many people describe their breakthrough, when it finally comes, as something that felt sudden. It rarely was sudden. The door had likely been open for some time. What changed was their capacity to actually see it. This is also why worry itself is counterproductive in a literal, mechanical sense. The more attention you spend rehearsing what could go wrong, the less capacity your mind has left to notice what is quietly going right. Here is something you can test today, free. For the next few hours, notice anything you would normally dismiss as too small to matter, a passing comment, a small offer, an idle thought. Do not act on it, just notice it, and let yourself be curious instead of filing it away. That single habit is the decline effect loosening its grip in real time, no audio required. Now, I want to take you underneath the alarm reflex we talked about, because that reflex has a physical driver, and understanding it changes how you work with it. Your nervous system runs largely on two competing states. One is calm, open, receptive, associated with a brainwave pattern called alpha, the state your mind settles into right before sleep, or during a long, unhurried walk, or in the quiet seconds after real laughter. The other is alert, scanning, defensive, associated with a faster pattern called beta, the state most adults now live in for almost their entire waking day. Because modern life, financial pressure especially, keeps the body convinced that danger is always one step away, even while you are sitting still, even while nothing in the room around you is actually threatening you at all. Beta is not the enemy. You need it to cross a busy street safely. The problem is that beta, left running constantly, crowds out alpha almost entirely. And alpha is the state your mind needs to actually receive anything, an idea, an opportunity, a genuine moment of rest. A mind stuck in beta is a mind standing at a closed gate, wondering why nothing gets through. Dr. Stephen Newton, a neuroscientist who broke from the establishment to release this particular research independently, has spent a significant part of his career studying exactly this gate. I will introduce his work fully in a moment. Think about a time you wanted something good, really wanted it, prayed for it, believed for it, and it still felt like reaching for it through glass. You could see it, you could almost touch it, and something invisible kept it just out of reach anyway. That is not a lack of faith. That is beta running high, holding the gate shut, no matter how sincerely you were asking on the other side of it. That gate, and exactly what closes it, and what quietly reopens it, is where we are headed next. And I want you to know, before we get there, this is the heavier part of what I have to show you today. Stay with me through it. Here is the symptom, and I want you to sit with it honestly, because this is the one most people recognize the fastest and defend the hardest. Someone offers to help you, and you hear yourself say no before you have even finished deciding. A compliment arrives, and you hand it straight back before it has had a second to land. An opportunity shows up, a referral, a small, unexpected door, and instead of walking through it, you find 17 reasons it will not work before you have even tried. You have wanted more your entire life, and you have quietly refused 100 small arrivals of it without ever once noticing you were doing it. You have called that independence. Some of you have called it humility, or being realistic, or simply not wanting to get your hopes up again after being disappointed too many times. It is none of those things, and I want to be gentle but very direct with you here. It is a reflex, and reflexes are installed, not chosen. Nobody sits down and decides, on purpose, to refuse good things. Something teaches the body to do that, quietly, over years, until it feels like personality, instead of what it actually is. Here is the mechanism underneath it, and this is the heaviest piece of what I have to show you today, so take your time with it. When the body lives in a near constant state of financial pressure, of low-grade vigilance about money, about the future, about whether things will hold together, it settles into that faster brainwave state I mentioned, beta, almost permanently. And beta, running high and near constant, does something specific to the brain. It creates what researchers studying stress physiology describe as neural rigidity, a kind of mental bracing, the nervous system tensed for impact even when nothing is coming at it. A brain in that state is structurally poor at one particular task, receiving, not earning, not striving, receiving. Alpha, the slower, calmer wave associated with genuine openness, gets crowded out almost entirely, and alpha is the exact state your mind needs to actually take in something good without immediately bracing against it, checking it, or handing it back. I call this pattern the stress signal, not because it is the only name for it in a laboratory somewhere, but because it is precisely what it is, a signal running so loud and so constant that it drowns out the quieter frequency your mind needs in order to receive anything at all. Dr. Stephen Newton, a neuroscientist who broke from the establishment to release this particular research independently after years inside academic institutions including Stanford and Boston University and other research institutions, has spent a significant part of his career studying exactly this closed gate. His work looks closely at calibrated audio approaches designed to gently guide the brain back toward alpha, lowering that constant beta noise enough for the reception channel underneath it to open again. This is not the same institution list I mentioned earlier for the first frequency. These are two separate researchers working independently, years apart, who never collaborated and who arrived at two connected pieces of the same larger picture. Dr. Lake has never claimed to have measured you specifically. Dr. Newton has made no such claim either. What each has reported in their own published work is a pattern observed across many people in comparable states. A pattern is not a guarantee. It is simply the most honest thing I can offer you. So it was never that nothing good came toward you. Things came. Doors opened. You were simply running a frequency that could not hold on to them long enough to let them land. Not a life of scarcity. A life of arrivals you were quietly built to deflect. Here is what you can do with that, today, before you decide anything else. The next time anything is offered to you, help, a compliment, a seat, a kindness, an opportunity, do not improve it and do not deflect it. Just say one word, yes. Then feel where your body immediately tries to undo it. That resistance, right there, is the thing we have been talking about this entire message. You just located it. That alone is worth more than most people ever get handed. Let us slow down for a moment, because you have carried a lot of weight through the last few minutes, and weight deserves a place to set down before we go further. Take one slow breath before I continue. Not because there is a technique attached to it right now, just because you have been holding a lot, and you deserve one unhurried moment before we go into the last stretch of this together. If you have made it this far, something in you already knew, before I said a word of it, that this was not going to be another message that talks around your actual situation. Most people would have left by now. You did not. That says something true about you. I want to say something honest to you here, the kind of honest that is easy to skip past in messages like this one. Some part of you might be thinking that even if everything I have said is true, it probably is not true for you specifically. That, whatever this is, it is for people whose situation is simpler, whose faith is stronger, who have not been let down as many times as you have. I understand exactly why you would think that, and I want to gently tell you it is backwards. This was never built for people who already have it figured out. It exists specifically for people who dared to keep listening, even after everything else they tried quietly stopped working. There is a particular kind of tired that comes from believing hard for a long time without much to show for it. If that describes you, hear this clearly. You are not being punished for taking too long to figure this out. Nobody handed you this order sooner. I cannot tell you which week anything shifts for you. Anyone who tells you that is selling you a certainty they do not actually have. What I can tell you, honestly, is the order. The child mind first, the receiving second. That part I have watched hold again and again in people who came into this feeling exactly as unready as you might feel right now. A child does not ask whether it has earned the right to receive before reaching for what is offered. It simply reaches. That is not a lack of maturity. It is the exact frequency we have spent this entire message trying to help you remember how to return to. If nothing else lands from today, let that one truth land. You do not have to become worthy first. You have to become willing to receive first. And worthiness was never actually the gate. A teacher, long before any of this science existed, once said that unless a person turns and becomes like a small child, they will not enter what was promised to them. I do not think he was only speaking about a place after this life. I think, at least in part, he was describing a frequency. and I think fewer people than you would expect ever realized. He was also describing an order. I want to show you one more picture before the last part of this, because you have earned something beautiful after everything we just walked through. Picture a day, not far from now. Something good is being offered to you, a number, a door, a name you did not expect to hear, and you notice the strangest thing. Nothing in you moves to refuse it. No bracing, no mental list of reasons it might fall through, no quiet voice asking what it will cost you later. Your hands stay open, your chest stays open. You simply let it arrive, the way a child lets a gift arrive, without first inspecting it for strings attached. You did not become someone who tries harder to get there. You became someone whose nervous system finally stopped treating good things as threats. And the difference between the two of you, the one reading these words right now and the one standing in that moment, is not effort, and it is not worthiness. It is one closed channel, opened. Some of you can already see that day so clearly it almost hurts a little. Hold on to that image. It is closer to a memory of somewhere you are about to return to than an invention of somewhere you have never been. That day moves one day further away for every day the two frequencies stay exactly where they are right now. Not because heaven is withholding it, because the channel meant to carry it to you has been closed since before you can remember. And closed channels do not open themselves through waiting alone. I want to give you something to do right now, this exact moment, before we continue. It will take under 2 minutes, and it costs nothing. Sit comfortably, and if you can, let your eyes close. You do not need headphones. You do not need silence. You only need about 90 seconds of your attention. Wherever you are, this works exactly the same, whether you are still, or walking, or simply pausing between two other things today. Picture a room, not a specific memory, just a room where a child, the child version of you, still stands, exactly as they were, unhurried, curious, hands slightly open at their sides. In front of them is a door, and the door is closed, not locked, simply closed, the way a door stays closed when nobody has walked through it in a long time. Now, reframe what you are looking at. You are not reaching for something outside of you, standing on the other side of that door hoping to get in. You are being handed something that was addressed to you a long time ago, and you are being asked, maybe for the first time, to simply take it, rather than earn your way toward it. Let your shoulders drop wherever they are holding tension right now. Let one hand, if it feels natural, open slightly where it rests, palm turned upward instead of closed. Notice, honestly, whatever shifts in your chest in this exact moment. That shift, however small it was, is real. It is not imagination. It will likely fade within a few minutes, and that fading is not a failure. It is simply a taste of a state that a channel, opened properly and consistently, is built to hold for far longer than a single breath ever could. If that moved something true in you, even slightly, type "I am ready" below where you are listening, and let us keep going together into the last part of this. So, why does understanding all of this change nothing yet? You can see the mechanism now. You can name both frequencies, and tomorrow morning, if nothing else happens, your chest will likely do exactly what it did this morning. The answer is not in your understanding. It never was. Understanding was only ever the doorway, not the room itself. Here is what you know right now that you did not know when this message began. Two frequencies quieted down in you, in a specific order, long before money ever became the story you told yourself about your life. The first dimmed how you receive anything at all. The second, closing right behind it, kept even the good things that did arrive from ever fully landing. Restoring the first without the second leaves you awake, but still empty-handed. Restoring the second without the first leaves you reaching for something a still dimmed mind cannot actually hold. Both, in that order, is what some have started calling a child mind reversal, and it gives you exactly this. Wake the part of you that can receive, then open the channel that lets it. The identity underneath both of these frequencies is the same identity it has always been. You are not someone who failed to build a better life through effort or belief. You are someone carrying two dimmed frequencies that were never explained to you, and now they have been. The clarity you just received is real. Clarity alone has never once opened a closed channel. Before we go where I am about to take you, I need to say one more thing, something I have held until now on purpose, so it would mean something instead of just being words. Chosen one, there is something I am about to declare over your life before this message closes, and I need you to still be here when it happens. You already carry both of these frequencies inside you, not because of anything you purchased or earned or proved in power, because they were placed there before you had a name for either one. The way a room is furnished before a child is ever old enough to notice the furniture. The first was dimmed, then, right after it, the second was closed. That order is the entire reason nothing you tried alone ever fully worked. Earlier in this message, two names moved quietly through what I was teaching you, sitting beneath it, unclaimed. This is the moment they finally matter. The first frequency, the one that lets you receive it all, has a name now. It is called the decline effect, and there is a way to gently invite it back toward active. It exists in a 7-minute audio built around brain entrainment research by the same Dr. Robert Lake, whose work we walked through earlier, MIT, Princeton, Harvard, and several other leading research universities among the institutions whose research informs this approach. It is called the Genius Song, not a program, not a course. 7 minutes, once a day, through headphones, restoring the exact frequency a child lives in without ever having to try. It does not promise you brilliance overnight. It restores one frequency, the one everything else in this message has been standing on. What it offers is simple, and it is exactly what a person carrying a dim decline effect actually needs. Curiosity returning, presence returning, the capacity to notice what was always there quietly returning. The child in you waking up first, exactly the way it was always meant to. That is the first door. And when it opens fully, something interesting happens next, something almost nobody expects. A nurse in Ohio started the restoration audio with real doubt in her chest. 3 weeks in, nothing dramatic had happened, and she had already drafted an email asking for her money back, though she never sent it. She kept going 2 more weeks anyway, mostly, in her words, because it only cost her a few minutes a day, either way. By the 6th week, her daughter asked her why she had started saying, "Yes, let me take that," instead of "No, I am fine," when people offered to help. She had not noticed the shift herself. Someone else saw it first. That is common. More common than the dramatic stories. The receiving side of this tends to be noticed by the people around you before you notice it in yourself. And even after everything the restoration audio does, something almost nobody expects becomes clear rather quickly. The child wakes up, and still, one door stays shut. Being able to receive again is not the same as the channel being open to receive through. A person can be fully present and curious again, and still hear themselves say no to help out of old habit. Waking up is real. It is also only half of what this message has been pointing toward. There is a second frequency closing right behind the first one and restoring both, in this order, is what some now call the two-wave stack. The child wakes, then the channel opens. If any of what you just heard is moving something in you, this is a natural place to mark it. Drop the words, "The channel opens" below where you are listening before we continue. The second audio picks up exactly where the first one leaves off. It completes what restoration opens the door to. It is called The wealth signal, a 5-minute audio paired with a short 9-word script rooted in an ancient technique, both aimed at the second frequency we spent real time on earlier. Where the first audio works on gamma, this one works on the opposite end, gently lowering that constant beta noise and guiding the brain back toward alpha, the state your mind needs in order to actually receive, rather than simply notice, something good. Dr. Stephen Newton, the neuroscientist who broke from the establishment to release this research independently, built this approach around exactly that closing. Stanford, Boston University, and other research institutions inform the work behind it, entirely separate from the researcher and institutions behind the first frequency. After the child wakes, the channel opens. Opportunities stop sliding past unnoticed. Help stops getting refused out of reflex. What was always being offered finally has somewhere to land. Become like a small child, an old teaching said, then receive what was promised. Restoration first, reception after. This is the second half of that same sentence. You might be asking yourself why this takes 2 things instead of 1. Here is the honest answer, in full. Your future is not stalled by weak faith, but by 2 frequencies shut off in order, and restoring only one leaves the other, quietly holding the door shut behind it. Reception without restoration reaches for something a still dimmed mind cannot yet hold. Both, in order, is the entire reason. Either one alone was never going to be enough. And if you are wondering whether beginning something like this is a commitment you are ready to make, that is a fair thing to wonder. It does not ask for discipline or hours or anything to learn. It asks a few minutes a day, with the actual risk carried somewhere else entirely, which I want to show you next. Here is where all of this actually leads, and I want to walk you there the same honest way I have walked you through everything else today. There is one path this message has been quietly pointing toward, and it is not a menu, it is a conclusion. The child wakes, and the child is allowed to receive. Both audios, in the order we walked through, restoration first, reception second, until the full sequence has run its course. This is the path most people, once they understand the order, recognize as the only one that actually finishes what it starts. Complete restoration is not the expensive option in a list. It is simply the whole sentence, rather than half of it. For some of you, restoration alone is the right place to begin, and I want to be honest about what that means. It is not a smaller choice. It is the first step of the same journey, the doorway before the room, true and valuable on its own, for anyone not yet ready to walk the full sequence. And, for a rare few of you, the child inside never fully went to sleep in the first place. If that is genuinely you, only the second frequency applies, and that door is available too, on its own. The 2 audios are 2 halves of one sequence, working together the way restoration and reception were always meant to. Alongside the restoration audio, there is a short companion resource called Genius Child, built for anyone who wants to protect a young mind from this same dimming before it ever fully sets in. Alongside the reception audio sits a collection called 20 Wealth Signal Success Stories, real accounts from people further along this same path than you are today. Together with the audios themselves, the total value being placed beneath this message comes to $418. None of it is bound by fine print. If you walk through either door and it does not sit right with you, you have 90 days, no conditions, to ask for your money back in full, and you keep every bonus regardless. Almost 38,000 people have walked through one door or the other, according to what has been reported, and fewer than 5 in 100 have ever asked for a refund. There is nothing to learn here, and nothing to schedule around. You listen, that is the entire practice. It arrives immediately by email, nothing shipped, nothing recurring, nothing to cancel later, because there was never a subscription to begin with. Compare that, honestly, to what the same kind of shift usually costs elsewhere. A weekend retreat, a multi-week course promising a prosperity mindset, a string of paid coaching sessions, a meditation subscription you renew every single month, whether you use it or not. All of that against a few minutes a day. That morning we stood inside together earlier, the one where something good arrived and nothing in you moved to refuse it. Moves one day further away for every day. The frequency behind it stays exactly where it is right now. Not because it is being withheld from you, because the version of you who receives easily is already waiting on the other side of a door only you can walk through. Everything spoken of today lives in one place. Both audios, every bonus, the full guarantee, nothing scattered. It is placed simply beneath this message. Before you decide anything, take one slow breath and ask yourself honestly which sentence feels truer. The child in me has been asleep for a long time. Or, the child in me is awake, but still has not been shown how to reach what belongs to it. I am not going to answer that for you. Your spirit already knows, and it does not need my permission to trust what it just heard itself say. The paths we have walked through together today are not hidden, and they are not complicated to find. They are sitting beneath this message, and again in the pinned comment, exactly where they have been the entire time we have been speaking. In case you missed either one the first time it was mentioned, wherever your spirit lands, restoration alone, reception alone, or the complete path most of you already feel pulled toward, the doors are there, waiting, not chasing you. Step through whichever one is actually calling your name, not the one you think you are supposed to choose. For those who go further than the paths we spoke of today, one more thing, briefly. Alongside the restoration audio sits an amplified version called the youthful brain, built for those who want the same reactivation carried further. Alongside the reception audio sits a companion called the wealth signal accelerator, built to open the channel faster for those the path asks more of. Both are simply there, waiting for whoever meets them after stepping through the first door. What we walked through today was already whole, complete, missing nothing. These exist only for the small number of you whose path genuinely asks for more, if your spirit confirms it later and never before. You have listened to this entire message, from the very first word to right here. Most people do not make it this far. Most people leave somewhere in the first few minutes, long before anything real is asked of them. You stayed for all of it, including the parts that were not comfortable to hear. That was never an accident, and neither is what I am about to say over you. Before I say it, I want you to simply notice, without judging it, everything you have been carrying up to this exact moment. The worry, the waiting, the years of doing the math at 2 in the morning, moving the same numbers around, hoping different ones would appear. Notice all of it, gently, one final time. Now let it go, fully, the way a hand finally opens after holding something clenched for far longer than it ever needed to. You do not need to carry it one more day to prove you were serious about wanting it to change. You were always serious. That was never the question. Chosen one, hear this clearly. I am someone who has been dimmed, and I am waking. I am someone who has reached without receiving, and I am learning to simply open my hands. I am not who the worry called me. I am who was chosen, long before the worry ever had a name, and the child in me is no longer asked to earn what was already sent. If that is true in you, even quietly, even uncertainly, step through whichever door your spirit already named, and if there is one person who came to mind while you were listening today, send this to them before you do anything else. They may be waiting on the exact same order you just received. And so it is. That morning we stood inside together. The one where something good arrived and nothing in you moved to refuse it is still there, waiting, exactly as we left it. For some of you today was simply a picture. For a few of you, it was recognition, the kind that does not need explaining to anyone else. You know which one it was. What you need is placed simply beneath this message, whenever your spirit is ready, no sooner. There is no rush hiding inside any of this. Take what was said today, sit with it, and come back to that door whenever it is time. Chosen one. The wait was never the absence of an answer. It was a signal, jammed on your end, and you were never the one who broke it.